Hi, and thanks for watching another instructional video for CSCI 1300. In this video, we will talk about functions a little bit more and how to print functions with user-defined input, as well as deal with return values with user-defined input from different types of functions. So in this example, we're going to use a void function, which will be taking in a couple of user arguments. We're going to declare a couple of variables in order to then ask the user to input them. In this case, we're going to be calling the POW function inside of our new function called printPOW. So this is the idea of like a reusable function that we could pass as many times as we could set it up and basically call it as many times as we needed to in the future. And it would be flexible enough in design that we could use it over and over again. You can see here that it takes in some arguments that we'll have to get from the user. Once we get those arguments from the user, we can then call the function and pass those arguments as parameters. When we go up to the function, notice that the function is a void function, so it doesn't have a return value, but we will be printing something in a loop, and that's where the three parameters come in. We'll need the size variable to determine how many times we need to make the loop execute. And in this particular case, what this is doing is it's saying enter a base, enter an exponent, and enter the number of times that you want to print the exponent if we raise it again and again and again. So what we've done here is we're basically calling POW, or then printing the value. And we're also going to do a summation of all of the bases to their exponents. And lastly, what we'll do is we'll add 1 to the exponent. So that way we can look at a range of bases raised to some exponents. So let's go ahead and run the program and talk about what's going on. So if I enter 2 for the base and 2 for the exponent, and I enter, say, let's do 8 numbers to be, we're going to go through 8 numbers. So you can see here that we raise 2 to 2 and we get 4. We raise 2 to the 3 and we get 8. So basically we're just multiplying by 2 and just tacking on an additional multiply by 2 as we go by adding to the exponent and then calling POW again and again and again based on the number of times you want to do this. And this is how we were able to print and pass arguments that are user defined. So we took in information, we stored it, we then called the function with that information, and then used a loop to print out what we needed to with the equation that we set up with POW. So say we wanted to actually print a return value. Say, for instance, we wanted to return the sum. We can't do that with a void. But if we change this to an integer function, we could do that by then using a return statement at the bottom of our function. And I'm going to return the sum. And the sum will be whatever the summation of all the values will be. So if we have 2 squared is 4, that'll be 1 value, and so forth. And we'll just add up all the values that we got from raising those bases to those exponents. And in order to print that, there's 2 ways that we can go about doing that. The first way would be to say, okay, we're going to create an int for output and set it equal to the return value. So here we're saying that output stores the return in the function. And then what we could do is we could print the output that we grabbed from the function. That's one way we can do it. Let's try that. So if we do 2 and start with a power of 2 and then do, say, let's do the first 5, and we should get 124 if we add up 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus 32 plus 64. And that looks right. Now, say we wanted to do this without storing the value, we could do that as well, because if we, actually let me uncomment this for a sec. If we look at this, notice that output will equal the function call. So what this means is that the function call can actually hold a value, just like a variable. So what we can do is we can actually just print the function call directly in a print statement, like so. And if I comment this out now, let's try printing that. We're going to use the same information here. And this time, let's do it to 8. You can see here that we've summed up everything from 4 to 512 and outputted 1020 as a result, both of which will handle printing values from a function. That's all for now. Thanks and happy coding.